What was the last FPS you played? Was it fast? Maybe just maybe it was a little bit more realistic. Or maybe it was that same game you've been buying every single year now. FPSs for a lot of us are our home, whether it be Quake, Halo, or good old COD. They have a very special place in all of our hearts. But over the years, it seems like so little is ever done with them. It's always just the same stand and shoot. Or maybe shoot and slide if we're getting frisky. It's funny, the last game I think truly tried to do something special is a little game called Shadow Warrior 2, or even 1 for that matter. It combined fast-paced movement with awesome sword arts, and sword forms that adjust based on what direction you move while you're holding down for a strike. And all of those special martial art forms had such badass effects like a light blade tether, slicing your enemies in two, to a high damage lunge, to a mass AoE clearing spin, given what direction you were holding while you were moving. It was unbelievably sick, and genuinely pushed the melee aspect of first-person stabbers so freaking far, light years ahead of any competition we've seen. For me, reinvigorating the genre. And also the gunplay was pretty good. But this is also why it made Shadow Warrior 3 so friggin' painful, turning itself into a cheap Doom Eternal copy. Still bothered by that one. So many games tried to imitate the new successful reboot of the Doom games. Hell, do you remember the reboot of Rage? Honestly, yeah, most people don't. But seriously, as much as I love Doom, I hate to death how many games that were already really unique, like Rage or Shadow Warrior, were completely disintegrated because of it. But it's hard to blame them. Doom Eternal introduced such fun gameplay. Gameplay that the devs, id, could have easily recycled another time with very little criticism, I believe. And yet, id chose to go a different route. They made something feel almost entirely different, and 1,000 times better in my opinion. And I can't even believe that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy Doom Eternal, but I struggle to put into words just how much I absolutely adored Doom the Dark Age. To the best of my limited ability, let me give it a try. To be clear, before I get a little ahead of myself, I played Doom on the highest difficulty outside of the ones that introduced permadeath. And I also played the game on game speed 130, which makes the game move a lot faster. And let me be clear, I never, and I mean never, play games on hard mode. Ever. But this game handles difficulty so beautifully, and with the ability to parry being so heavily valued that it's crazy. And they could have made it hellish. Pun intended. But instead, they kept the parry window relatively open. Some enemies are a little more aggro than others, but still manageable. Not to mention, despite playing on such a high difficulty, you can still knock enemies down to size really fast, executing them in a couple seconds if you use all your abilities in tandem. It's funny, I remember hearing a lot of people day one talk about how the Doom game just felt different, kind of slow and sluggish. But to me, everything felt so much more fast, even without increasing the game speed. Combining the shield bash with the shield throw, along with the ravenous melee attacks that now recharge, I think it all melts down to just having so many options that allow the Slayer to dish out such massive damage. I think I kept the difficulty so high because not once did the game ever feel like there wasn't something I could have done to do better in that instance. And the more you play and the better you get, the more your fear evaporates. And you become the motherfucking Slayer himself, driving into every fiery green hell just to get a little bit more damage, a little bit more stun, a little bit more bang for your buck. And of course, a whole lot more brutality. We don't have executions anymore, but we do have something that to me is a lot better and a lot more satisfying, especially when it comes to response time. Being able to drop your shield into someone, immediately spin your head on a pivot, and then shoot someone in the head or obliterate them with a double barrel shotgun. Still hits even thinking about it. It's endlessly addictive, this feeling of not just stand and fight, but charge forward and cut through. It truly empowers the original statement in Doom Eternal, the one where some prophet was talking about how Doom Guy wielding his double-barrel shotgun is like a sickle cutting through all demon kind, like grass, in one fell swoop. With the shield bash and the shield throw and the double barrel shotgun, that's what you do again and again. Driving in and bobbing and weaving out of every single attack on the battlefield filled with lead and fire. So endlessly badass, man. It's funny, at this current time, there's a lovely game called Exposition 13, which is getting praised endlessly for its brilliant parry mechanic, of course, iterating and innovating upon the turn-based genre. But man, I feel like Doom the Dark Age deserves the very same praise. There are a lot of bullet hell type of games out there, but so few empower you to feel like you can always win. Not by bobbing and weaving and waiting your turn to deal damage, but instead by driving inward, into the chaos, and benefiting wholeheartedly wholeheartedly because of it. That makes such a massive difference and massively rewards you at every possible turn. Seriously, the difficulty is perfection, and I'm struggling to find the right words to perfectly describe it. But in short, so many games reduce the quality of your experience when you increase the difficulty. But not once in all of Doom: The Dark Age did I ever feel that way. It always felt perfectly balanced in how it rewards you. The difficulty just felt so right. But to be fair, the only time I ever felt like the difficulty kind of got out of hand was right before you unlock the runic abilities. Specifically, the runic ability Stun, which makes the whole game feel a whole lot better, especially when you're playing it on 130 speed. But I don't think it's just the difficulty that made the combat feel so meaningful, but instead, the endless desire for better upgrades and more weapons. I'll try to make this rant short. How many times have you played an RPG and it has a skill tree that's just super uninspired, or a specific perk that is as boring as you heal 0.1% in the daylight? By the way, it doesn't work when you're indoors, or you guessed it, at night, and it's 0.1% healing. Who the fuck is excited to get that? What is God? If I could change one thing about the gaming space, it's how bad they are about rewarding the player with something that's actually worth getting. Everyone is just so afraid to give you something powerful or to give you a reward worth pursuing. I say this as a person who prides himself on making the most broken builds in video games, and it endlessly sucks to see such terrible incentives all around us. But in Doom's case, Doom: The Dark Age, everything is so fucking good. Every upgrade to your shield feels impactful and stacks on top of itself. All of the melee weapons and the benefits that they can provide are all unique and different and play to a certain playstyle, and the weapon upgrades are so significant that two of the weapons that I talk the absolute most shit about, your starter shotgun and the bolt launcher, both starter versions, I talk such mad shit about them, but they both ended up, at least to me, being one of the most overpowered weapons in the entire game, mainly because when you get to endgame, the super shotgun doesn't have the window open every single time you get a parry. You end up fighting really aggro enemies, and the starter shotgun has way better range and only slightly less damage, but always has the ability to fire in the in-betweens of those high aggressive parry people. Granted, I played on the highest difficulty, so maybe that's not as, it can be as apparent when you're playing on low difficulties. Anyways, yeah. Oh, and the main thing you struggle with at endgame is dealing with like medium to high tier enemies, which if you throw shield in someone's face and you have the bolt gun leveled up and you shoot that person in the head, you will nuke down almost everyone in the surrounding areas, where not a lot of the weapons have that necessarily. You need ad clear against medium tier enemies, which still take a shit ton of damage to kill, and the bolt gun circumnavigates that. So if you're struggling with the game, try to level up those two. Anyways, love you. Nah, move on. Oh, and the shotgun also does fire damage, which will heal you if you're not playing on the highest difficulties, because you'll actually get substantial healing when you're playing on the highest difficulties. It's like pennies, but still. But my point in saying all this is just how every single upgrade feels relatively meaningful. And when you unlock all of those upgrades in tandem, everything from a mass AoE shield throw, which will feed into your empowered shield bash now, which will follow up into your greater shield stun, resulting in you being able to basically nuke anything that can be stunned extremely fast. And of course, you could put the cherry on top and just blast them with super shotgun when you're that close, and maybe you won't even need to stun them. Yeah. Or another fantastic combo, throwing the shield to stun them, whipping out the bolt gun, holding down the trigger, and seeing everything around you die in a spectacular fashion. So freaking satisfying. The only feeling that I can say is more satisfying is the feeling of momentum, not only in the gameplay, but also in the soundtrack. Yes, it's not written by the same original Doom guy, shout to him, bangers all around from him, but this soundtrack still absolutely slaps, in kind of a more badassy kind of way rather than a harbinger of the underworld kind of way, I guess. But also everything from this headshot sounds to the shield bash, it's got that same God of War reclaiming the axe sound, which is just mwah. My point largely being that all of these things play wonderfully into this feeling of momentum, of more, go, feeling. Hats off to the sound designers for sure. With all that being said, what surprised me most of all is that I liked Doom Eternal, but I never really loved it. I didn't really vibe with the limited ammo capacity resource management, forcing you to use weapons that you have no interest in. Instead, in Doom: The Dark Age, it made me want to use every single weapon, especially with the upgrade tree. Or maybe I didn't like Eternal because of the limited verticality, with the only real way to get some crazy momentum and movement was the double barrel shotgun and its alternative chain fire, or chain hook ability. Contrast that with Doom: The Dark Age, which allows you to adjust the game speed, but also allows you to have a shield bash and just feel way way more fast. Also, I think there's a sprint, so that helps. And in Doom Eternal, the melee always kind of felt like a little hit or miss to me. Very cool cleaving enemies in half, but they were so sparse that you never really got to enjoy them. And nor could you make a really game-defining build that leans into how you like to play. Kind of just makes weapons do more of what they already do better, I guess. Perhaps this all just comes from Doom Eternal's ammo economy, honestly. Who knows? Like I said, I liked Doom Eternal, but I think Doom the Dark Age is one of the best FPS shooters I have ever played in my entire life. Many weeks have passed since I've said that, not only to you, but also my stream, and I still stand by it. It still feels unbelievably true. And for those of you guys who are skeptical, let me ask you this, for people who have played it, what FPS is better? What FPS does so many things right? Don't get me wrong, I have nostalgia for Halo, Call of Duty, and so on and so forth, but I can't think of one that didn't have a slew of problems that were also limiting the game. And when it comes to Doom Eternal, I can't really think of one. Maybe the story was slightly weaker. The game was quite buggy at launch, sure. But when it comes down to the feeling of empowerment, the upgrade tree, the skill tree, the wanting to hunt for collectibles because they feed right back into you actually killing things more, experiencing the game more, and then upgrading yourself even more to boot, it all feeds into itself in a beautiful spiral of blood and viscera. But I know a couple people are still going to feel weird about me saying that. But like I said, I can't think of a single one that has so many boxes checked and has me feeling like I can take on the entire world, even playing on the hardest difficulty. And here's the catch with all this, and why I think it deserves its flowers. They didn't need to do this. Doom Eternal was already extraordinarily successful. They didn't need to reinvent their wheel. They could have just recycled what worked. But instead, they perfected something so well, it feels like this is what it was always meant to be. And for that reason, I believe Doom the Dark Age might very well be one of my first 10 out of 10 games. For me personally. Of course, for you it might be different. But I love this game to pieces, and I hope so badly you consider giving it a try. And if I could convince you to play it on one of the higher difficulties before it starts introducing permadeath, and also increasing the game speed to 130, I think you'll get your zoomery little mind cooking like you would not believe. Although maybe lower it if it's on console, although I still think the Super Shotgun would take you pretty far, and you don't need to have God aim because it has quite the spread. Anyways, the TLDR is just please give it a try if you can. It's only a little bit on Game Pass if you're willing to give it a try there. Granted, I did have a lot of mechanical PC issues there, but if you're playing on Xbox, you're probably groovy. And if there was any weakness I could find in it, it was the story. Moments were cool, but it didn't have, I just never felt like it got like as cool as being shot out of a cannon onto Earth. I feel like the antithesis of the Doom story is that one Doom Eternal audio log session where the scientist, therapist, whatever, basically becomes a devout Doom follower. That was peak. That they should have done that, but like 1,000 times, and I would have still been like, this is cool. I'm locked in. To tell you the truth, whatever the devs end up making in the future, I really hope they take this game to heart and keep it in mind. Unless they want to do what I think is already impossible, and that is to make something that is already almost perfect even better. Normally I wouldn't say this about any other developer, but maybe, just maybe, they can pull it off. But there are rumors about an upcoming DLC for Doom the Dark Age, and I am both excited and extremely terrified by that. Most Doom DLCs massively increase the difficulty, so here's hoping I can still push on through. Fingers crossed and all that. Love you to bits, hopefully I can see you again, and to id Software, thank you for making one of the most incredible games I have ever played. I can't see it losing my personal Game of the Year spot. It was truly wonderful, which is kind of odd to say about such a brutal game, but truly, truly wonderful. And to anyone in the comments, are there any bullet hell games out there that have a similar vibe of not just bob and weave and try to get a shot to land, but instead stand and fight and drive through like a sickle cutting through grass? If so, let me know. I'd love to give them a try. Thank you kindly for your time. I hope I can see you again. Goodbye for now, my friends.